So our goal is to replace a plastic and replace with some other materials. So look around you and see how much plastic we have in our daily lives, especially when it comes to food packaging. And yes, somebody else talked about this about 20 minutes ago. But we'll be revisiting this, and we'll do something a little differently. We'll want to replace plastic with something else. And when we think about where's all the waste materials are coming from, is from delivering from the original location to your table at the dinner place. And the way they package it so that the product can be shipped from one location to the end with minimized risk in terms of losing the product. So why not, how do we minimize this issue? How do we minimize it and still minimize the amount of waste that we produce in the process? And we looked at why plastic is being used in this process, and then it turns out that it's cheap, light, it's very malleable, it's easy to manipulate it, and it's easy to transport it a long distance with the food inside. And we looked at how can we minimize all that process, is maybe we can have a localized packaging and distribution centers in the local economy. Because once that happens, it'll be a smaller packaging companies. However, it'll have impact on the local economy, it will be using the local systems, therefore the distance to travel is shorter, therefore there's less packaging involved to prevent the products from being spoiled. We got nuts with the idea about why don't we just tackle the biggest ones, Heinz ketchups or Tropicana, the bigger companies. How do they do shipments? They ship from very long distances, sometimes from Toronto to Vancouver, so why don't we let them ship a bulk, like how they transport gasoline to a location to the gas station and do the packaging locally in the area. And that way they actually save in terms of a lot of taxes for the EPR, transportations, and amount of packaging, because less packaging means more materials to be shipped into the locations. And then we can do local packaging. And for the material that we want to use glass, because glass has been around for 300 years more than the plastic. We know how to manufacture it, it's easy to recycle it, and I think Dan talked about it's infinitely recyclable. However, every time you heat it up and reshape it, the plastic gets shorter and you can never get rid of it. And so it stays in the environment forever, whereas glass is silica based. So it is actually, we can reuse it almost infinitely. So we want to use glass containers to locally ship and locally package, because local packaging means even though the material is from somewhere else, by local packaging we have local economy to actually have somebody to do so. Because if we do local shipping, imagine Amazon shipping, where you can pick up your local food goods at the time of your convenience instead of you walking to the store. Because we can do all that by having a local services providing that system.
So I think a good comparison to put it in terms of something that a lot of people recognize is Spud Deliveries, which does deliver groceries to your door. We're thinking of a similar kind of grocery delivery type of service that uses these reusable containers, and then when you're finished with the containers, instead of putting them into the garbage or recycling, you put them back in the box, so they're taking the same amount of space in your house. The next week when they drop you off groceries, they just take those away and give you your food, and then reuse them for food for other people next week. Do you have anything to add?
And I think that one of the advantages would be that you could offer a suite of sizes. We want to have standard containers, so something like a mason jar, but you could have 500 ml mason jar or 1 liter mason jar, depending on the needs of your producer who wants their food packaged. But we could also expand in the future into perhaps metal containers or tiffin containers. We could get into dry goods if we want to do cereal or crackers or things like that. So it'd be a matter of perhaps initially partnering with existing systems like food delivery systems to find out who are their producers, whether they're local or whether they're further away, and what are their packaging needs, so that we could have a suite of standardized containers that would meet their needs and be able to recycle them through the system, having it, of course, sent through our washing system, similar to what Avalon Milk would have for their milk containers, only our containers would be for a whole suite of different types of food.
So our first step that we can try this system out is having a jar collection distribution system in partnership with Spuds, because Spuds right now actually distribute some meat and vegetables produced goods, and we can actually partner them with them for the liquid goods that we can actually help them with distribution, because they also have the recollection services, so we can actually use that as a trial setup to actually see if there's actually demand and need for it. Because ultimately, if we can do local packaging and have just delivery at your own convenience, and that's what we're going for, right? Personalized, customized delivery at your doorstep. And I think we can do that just by changing how we do our logistics of how food is being processed and delivered to our doors.
And by cutting a couple of steps out of the supply chain, there would be a reduction in food waste as well. Additionally, there would probably be a reduction of food waste at the household level, because people would have to think a little bit better about what they were ordering, and they would likely be getting the same things week after week, which is shown to reduce food waste.
And now we're open for questions and comments.